5 o'clock on this Sunday afternoon, meteorologist Griffin Hardy here with an update on what is now Tropical Storm Idalia. This is formerly known as Tropical Depression 10, became Idalia officially earlier today, and as of right now still pretty disorganized, but has a ton of thunderstorms around it as it's now east of Cozumel and Cancun and southwest of Cuba on the southern edge of the Gulf of Mexico. And it's still expected to track its way up to the north over the next couple days. As it moves into the Gulf of Mexico, it's going to be encountering some very warm ocean temperatures and thus strengthen quite a bit. It's now expected to be a Category 2 hurricane at landfall somewhere in northwestern Florida in the Big Bend region of Florida. And as it tracks across Florida, it'll be brushing up against the Carolina coast, likely as a tropical storm. The intensity forecast has gone up since yesterday. There's some more model guidance suggesting the storm will be pretty intense at landfall. But more relevant for us is that the forecast track since yesterday has gradually shifted down to the south and east. This often happens with storms like this, as I'm sure many of you are already aware. But for us in the upstate, it's great news because the farther south and east the storm goes, the more likely we are to get the dry side of the storm. So in all likelihood, it was plausible yesterday that we could see tropical storm force winds on Wednesday when this storm makes its closest pass. That now looks a lot less likely. I think in all likelihood, we'll probably pick up around 20 to 25 mile-per-hour wind gusts, maybe around half an inch to an inch of rain at most. But again, those spaghetti models have now shifted down to the south and east. The impacts will be fairly significant for the Carolina coast, though, near places like Charleston, Myrtle Beach, Wilmington. They'll definitely get some choppy surf, possibly even some storm surge, and certainly a lot of rain and wind as Idalia makes its closest approach on Wednesday and into Thursday, and possibly could impact Bermuda later on into the week as it exits out into the East Atlantic. So that rainfall potential looking pretty high along the coast where they could pick up 3, 4, 5 inches of rain. In total for the upstate, this is over the next 4 days. So that's including the rain that we're going to see not associated with Idalia for tomorrow and Tuesday. In total through these next 4 days, only really expecting around 1.5 inches to 2 inches, maybe around locally as much as 2.5 inches of rain these next few days. Now, as far as the wind speeds go, they will be especially intense in northwestern Florida when it initially comes ashore just north of Tampa near places like Tarpon Springs, as well as over towards Jacksonville. As it crosses over northern Florida, they'll likely get tropical storm force winds, maybe even locally some hurricane force wind gusts in northern Florida. But down towards the Carolina coast Wednesday afternoon, that's when most of those winds will be felt, around 45, 50 mile-per-hour gusts. And then by Thursday, that storm looks to be passing near Myrtle Beach and Wilmington and the Outer Banks, and then it starts to exit out into the open waters of the Atlantic. So here's what those wind gusts look like locally speaking. Tuesday, not much to worry about. Wednesday morning, it starts to get a little bit breezy outside for the upstate in western North Carolina, around 15 mile-per-hour wind gusts. That picks up to around 20 to 25 miles per hour at times Wednesday afternoon, around 4 p.m. So locally, maybe some places farther south, closer to that storm center, may get 30 mile-per-hour wind gusts, but nothing too drastic for us as far as Idalia goes. Into Thursday, when the drier air starts coming in and the winds stay out of the northeast, it'll be still a little breezy at times, but not too bad for us locally speaking as far as impacts goes. Also want to mention Hurricane Franklin. This is in the process of strengthening as well. It's now a Category 2 hurricane, 100 mile-per-hour winds, but also while it'll be also an impactful, while it also be a strong storm, it's not likely to be an impactful storm for the mainland U.S. It'll make its closest approach to Bermuda, likely as a Category 3 or 4 hurricane, but then jet out into the North Atlantic away from the mainland U.S. So not a big deal for us in the U.S. as far as Franklin goes. Here's what I've got for the 4-day. The rain that we're seeing these next few days, again, not associated with Idalia. That's associated with a stalled front. Rain chances stay high at 80% Monday and for Tuesday. Wednesday looks like it'd be a cloudy, rainy, windy day, but in total, the rainfall amounts not too big in the grand scheme of things. It'll be around 1.5 inches to 2 inches over the course of 3 days. Thursday looking fabulous on the drier side of that storm. It'll be drier, it'll be sunny, it'll be cooler. Temperatures only topping out in the mid-70s for daytime highs Thursday. And for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we look to stay dry for most of next week. Temperatures will rebound a bit, back up to the low 80s starting on Friday. And by next weekend, we're talking about more upper 80s on the way with dry conditions. Have a great rest of your Sunday night, everybody.